What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I wanted to react to a situation that's going on in the trading space. Twitter's kind of been blowing up about this recently across a lot of the people that I follow. I also saw that there was a video made by my friend Forex James here, just talking about this situation. I want to weigh in on my thoughts. You can go check out his channel if you want, Forex James. If you want to go check out his full video. A lot of people are talking about the situation with this gentleman Donvo, who has been a long-term live streamer. I think he started streaming like maybe a year or two after me, and I feel like I've been around in the trading space streaming for a long time. I haven't been as long as like Raja, but there was back in the day, there was a handful of streamers, and we all knew who each other were. So Donvo, who used to go by, I think it was Controller FX, pretty notorious live streamer, and he had actually a account service, or a PAM account, which is basically the idea is investors could plug in and they would automatically copy over the trades that Donvo was taking into their own trading accounts. And in this video, I just wanted to discuss things, kind of my reaction to this situation. First of all, if you're somebody who is negatively impacted by this situation, that really stinks, and I can imagine you're probably really kicking yourself at this moment. I'm sure there's a lot of people looking for answers, hoping that there's some sort of resolution. From what I know, Donvo has not published any sort of response or statement on this, and there's speculation all over the place about this. But first of all, let's just take a look at some of the damage, if you will. So you had, I just pulled up a couple accounts. So a lot of the people who had been plugged into this PAM account have been kind of sharing their what happened to their accounts, so that we get a better idea of what went down to cause a 95 plus whatever percent crash in all the portfolios following, or the accounts following the main account. And it seems like the pretty consistent theme is that people are losing between 95 plus percent of what was in their account in just a few short hours or a few days. I'm not exactly sure. This one says 3 days. I've seen different figures, but you can see that this particular individual's account went from somewhere just shy of 55,000 to losing $53,000, which is insane. And from what I know about Donvo, I'll just give you my 2 cents, because I haven't spent a ton of time watching him, and I don't want to mischaracterize him or say something that is not correct. So if you are a Donvo fan or follower, if you spent time in his things, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe he is a big fan of trading gold, and that's one of the popular reasons why he's big on YouTube. A lot of traders love to they love to trade gold and watch gold. The other side is that he has a pretty notorious take on risk management, where he's not super is not like super convinced that he needs to have a 3-to-1 risk to reward or do the standard approach, which, hey, anybody who's stepping out of the norm, there's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the day, your risk to reward, if you're risking 10 to make 1, that may not work for a lot of traders. But hey, if he had done something where he was making, his own gains, who's to dispute that, right? If someone's got something working for them, it doesn't matter if you're risking 10, 5, whatever. It matters. Your risk reward doesn't matter. Your win percentage doesn't matter. It matters that over the long term, do you actually make money? Now, I will say this, having a really small reward relative to a huge risk, in my experience, and everybody who I've seen who has long-term profitability, is, a tricky approach. I'll say that. But so I know that he has, notoriously had trades where he's like risking like 50 in order to, make like 1, right? So, and I'm talking about like percentages or units, etc. So let's get into some more of the damage here. So this was just some records showing. Let me see if I can zoom in on this at all. It doesn't look like I can, but you could see, the point is, I know it's hard to see on the screen, tons of trades all of a sudden happened. And this was what I started seeing, and everybody talking about this, is that there is so many trades that happened. And I've heard the number 300 tossed around. So 300 plus trades happening in a single day, which for 300 trades, I heard James say this in his video, was like more trades that he takes in a year. That's definitely more trades than I take in a year. In fact, that's like 5 years of trades for me. I don't take, I'm a swing trader, so I'm not in and out of the market very frequently. I'm pretty, infrequently trading. I can actually, the less I can trade, usually the more profitable I am, because usually if I'm taking less trades, it means winners are running. And if I'm taking a lot of trades, it means I'm stopping out pretty quick on some of my entries. So usually when I'm taking less trades, it's better. So anyways, 300 in a day is definitely crazy. I also wanted to show you this chart that someone had plugged into a MyFX book to follow along with the results. And this tells me all I need to know. The account at one point, you can see, was up 63% in a month. And I've been around the block for in the trading space for a long time, and I know many of you guys who have been here long term probably feel the same way. If you see somebody up 63% in a month, there is no risk management there. That is not how the trading world works. The only time that a 63% return in 1 month on your entire account could occur and it not be gambling or actually straight up just inappropriate risking on the account would be if you caught an ungodly move in some sort of, the VIX or something. Like, let's say you bought like out of the money VIX long contract, long options contracts, like call options. Let's say you just bought those and they just, for whatever reason, you just got super, super fortunate on the timing and price ripped into your favor and you had risk relatively small, but the calls became super, super pricey and you got, that's the only scenario. That's the only thing in my head that I can think like, oh yeah, that would be a possibility of making 63%. But that's clearly not what's happening here, because what you can see is there was, every day it seemed like the count was up a couple percent. And to new traders, this, up to this point, looked remarkable, right? If you're somebody you're like, I want to invest in this right away, 63% a month, that could change my life in a few years. That could in a few months, that could change my life. If you had $10,000 and you made 63% per month, in no time, you'd be like the richest person on the planet. That's why it's not sustainable. And that's why, if you see this to me is incredibly, incredibly inappropriate trading. Because, and I know I'm sitting here with a bit of hindsight and I'm sitting on my high and mighty chair judging someone who's just had their account blown and is probably in a really, they probably feel, Donvo probably feels horrible, but not about Donvo here. It's about the people who lost a bunch of money in this situation. I'll get to that in just a second. But here's the thing. For a new trader, you see 63% a month, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is a trading legend. I need to get invested. So you throw your money at it, and a lot of people did. Here's a guy who's been on YouTube for years and years and years. And people, looked up to him and trusted him. And you see 63% a month, you're like, this guy is a beast. But if you know trading well, 63% per month is absolutely not sustainable. It is not even close to sustainable. It is reckless to put on risk that high in order to make that sort of gain. Great traders, the best I know, I've talked about this and I get flack for this because people don't like this answer, but I'm not here to glitter and glam this stuff. I'm here to tell you the practical truth that I've found over my years of studying this stuff. If you can do 5% in a month, you're like the best trader I know. If you can consistently do 5% per month over the long term and average that, not every month, but if you can average 5%, you're the best trader I know. If you could do 2 to 4%, you're a very, very good trader. And the reason is because of situations like this. It's easy to have periods like this where you have a 60% gain, but what you have to accept if you're going to make those sorts of gains is a high likelihood that at some point in the line, you're going to blow the entire account. So what I'm saying when I say these numbers, I'm saying these are numbers that are more sustainable to very educated traders who are managing risk appropriately. 2 to 4%, I mean, really 2 to 3% is remarkable numbers. That's kind of what I shoot for on my own account. It's like if I can get 2% per month and just compound my account year over year, over the long term, the account is going to make me very wealthy, right? That's all I need. I don't need to go fast. I just need to go steady. So anyways, back to the concept here. If you are somebody who is negatively impacted by this, James did a good point. He made a good point in his video. There's 2 ways that we could discuss this. We could say point number 1, if we're being then again, I'm using James's concept here. If we're being logical about this, this was a paid for lesson. This was a tough lesson to learn. But the idea is basically if you put all of your trust and all of your money into somebody on YouTube who is just showing you, that they were the best trader or whatever, then this was a painful lesson to learn. Trading is really hard. And even for YouTubers who have big followings like myself or, anybody who you see with big following, it doesn't immediately make them a profitable trader. Someone who is a profitable trader can show you long-term broker statements. They can show you their login. They can show you a MyFX book, whatever. But if they can't, and you still put your hard-earned money into something like this where you're just copying their account, you're asking for trouble, and it's probably a painful lesson. The second one is this absolutely stinks for people who, and again, I'm using James's points from his video. It actually stinks for people who followed and believed in this guy and just completely had their entire funds wiped out. Now, there's been some speculation that this was intentional, that this was a money grab, that this was a rug pull because of the way that this was set up with blueberry markets. So the idea here is that Donvo did this PAM account or MAM account, whatever. Basically, the copy trading service was offered through blueberry markets. Blueberry markets allowed the copying trading. They facilitated it, right? There's speculation. This is purely speculation because I have no idea of the agreement. But I know this stuff happens all the time, where the broker offers commissions on all trades that happen on all of the accounts as a kind of a kickback or reimbursement to Donvo. And so some people are making the claim, I have no idea if this is right or wrong, that the 300 trades in a day was kind of a last rug pull to make a ton of money off of trades with the brokerage and then walk away. And that's a pretty dark thought, right? Because if you watched somebody like Donvo for years and then they pulled that stuff on you, that's pretty heartbreaking because the people who are invested in Donvo's, PAM or MAM or whatever accounts, the copy service, they not only trusted this guy, but they probably were big fans of the guy, right? So it stinks. That's really sad because I could tell you that I personally am going to make a claim that I don't think that that's what happened. I don't actually think that's what happened because I can tell you, Donvo and I have a similar situation in the sense that we have followers that follow our live streams, that we have pretty devout fans, and I'm not a perfect person, and I don't claim that Donvo is a perfect person either, but I do imagine that if he feels any similar feeling that I do towards my audience, I am so grateful to have one. I love live streaming. My reputation matters immensely to me. I would never in a million years pull this sort of thing on people that trusted me intentionally. So my stake on this is that actually, I don't think this was a rug pull. I don't think that this was a quick way to make a buck. And give me a second. I'm not here to tell you that I think the guy is innocent. But I don't think that I don't think he wants to tank his own reputation and just pull a bunch of money and never show up again. Maybe that would be scammer behavior, like straight up scammer behavior. Here's what I actually think happened. With 300 trades in a day, I think this was things got out of hand, drawdown got out of hand, and he went full tilt, freaked out with a bunch of people's money and just full port sent it, tried to make back the money, and the account completely got destroyed. I think that's what actually happened, which is also incredibly disappointing, but goes back to the point I just made about when you trust someone who doesn't show you their long-term profitability and you hype them up and they have a huge audience and they think they're the thing, that's just tough, right? Because again, a lot of people trust him, but who knows if he was able to produce any sort of long-term MyFX book, et cetera. So if you're somebody who was devastated by this, then I do feel for you. But at the same time, if you're somebody who did not, and you're just curious about this situation, here's what I would say. Just don't ever trust anyone who does not have a long-term track record or who shows you their regular on videos, live streams. I do that on my videos for that case exactly. I don't want you to feel like you're wasting your time. Or for people like this who watch this person for perhaps for years only to find out like he's a human too. Like, and I'm not defending that. I'm saying like maybe he let his emotions get to him. Maybe he started trading like a dummy. I don't think it was intentional. I think the guy just was going. I mean, look at this. This was going to blow up. I'm sorry. If you had shown me this, I wasn't looking at this before. If someone had sent me this, I would have screamed, "Run for the exit right now," because that's not sustainable. Again, pros in this industry universally would agree. Anybody who has a track record would agree. That is not sustainable. 63% in a month is an absolute red flag. And if you were just getting greedy off this, seeing that, and you're like, I need to make that kind of money right now, take my money, then this was a painful lesson, I'm sure. But this is a lesson nonetheless for everyone, even if you weren't negatively impacted. That's not how trading goes. Do you remember, the last thing I'll leave you with, do you remember the story from when we were all kids, the story about the tortoise and the hare? I remember that story where basically the race is between a turtle and a rabbit. And everyone, or the rabbit, just takes off running as the race goes. And he's super arrogant and he's super full of himself as he runs ahead. And he's so arrogant. The tortoise is so slow. And the hare is so fast. He gets so arrogant that he lays down by a tree arrogantly before even finishing the race. And he falls asleep. And who ends up winning the race? Slow and steady Mr. Tortoise. He crosses the finish line because the hare was so arrogant, took a nap, fell asleep, woke up and had lost the race. The reason I say that is because when it comes to trading, the people who have been here for the years and years that I have been here with, they are the tortoises. And people that crash accounts because they try and go fast and they quit trading and they rug pull or leave or whatever, I don't know. Those are the hares of the industry. Don't be a hare, be a tortoise. Thanks for watching, guys.